Y'all infidels, that's right, we're back. It's time to light the fuse, and you'll be lucky if I don't stab you in the eye with a foreign object, because I'm feeling froggy today, so you better check me for weapons as we get ready for the hardcore face-off this weekend on Sunday. But before we do that, it's Shaq Attack time, infidels, as we go live, and we are ready to light the fuse. Y'all. Yeah, man, back with the homie Chris Silvio and MSG off the fresh restart, man, and the camera's looking good out of the DMV and the place to be. Sil, how you doing this morning, pal?
I'm feeling great, man. I'm about to back Maddie into the corner, raise that hand, and give him a big-ass overhand chop to welcome this week's edition of Light the Fuse. I thought last night's show was spectacular in a lot of ways. I'm going to have fun breaking this down with you guys. But I'm feeling all right. I got yard work to do soon, so let me kick it with the homies first.
Nice, man. Well, I know you're always into keeping that grass trimmed, and I know the other guy's into smoking those trimmings. He's back. It's the baked boy himself. He's got the new vanity plates, Rich Boy 1. How's it going, pal?
I'm pissed off now.
I don't think you're your mic. I don't think you're coming through your mic.
You can't hear me?
You're echoing.
Yeah, I think it's through your computer monitor just to add to your frustration.
You are in a literal echo chamber.
Check. But you look good on camera. The background looks good.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. It doesn't sound like it's coming through that nice mic of yours.
See, fans, that's one of the many reasons why you need to watch this live stream so you can see things like this.
Yep. Yeah,
Maddie looks great, but you couldn't see him. You couldn't hear him.
Now you can hear me?
Yeah, you sound good. Mm-hmm.
Coming to the mic now? Coming right to the mic?
Yep, sounds great.
All right. I'm fine, thank you. I'm pissed. I'm pissed off as I keep hitting this fucking thing here. I'm pissed off this morning. But yes, we're back for the edition of Light the Fuse right here, guys. It's been a interesting morning. Just been dealing with car crap. You got to run the registration of the DMV. One place doesn't do this now here in this state. I'm just like, why do I need to go to 3 different buildings just to register my car? I thought you could do it all in one place. That's what it used to be. It was easy, Silvio. I'm confused.
Maddie, how much? I had to do the same shit recently. Just out of curiosity, how much did the whole registration and plate process cost you in Colorado?
Just for the registration is $118 today. That was it.
So that was it. I had to register my car, get new plates, and update my address on my license. In Florida, $435.
Jesus.
Oh, Jesus.
For a 2-year registration.
Dude, just robbery. Just complete robbery, man. How much longer can they push it, man? It's unbelievable. And soon they'll be coming for the truth, and maybe not in wrestling, but a great show last night on the Conspiracy Horsemen. Still, our own El Plaza hooked us up with Lord Jamar from Brand Nubian, a 90s hip hop kid like me, dream come true. But a great conversation about a good many topics and an open invitation to come back. So I'm hoping this becomes a budding friendship, and we get some great conversation, and who knows what other great guests we're going to have here in the next month. We're trying to get some awesome stuff lined up, but it was I'm still pumped off that performance high from last night, man. A lot of people saying it was our best show ever. I just had a good time, dude. It was really great conversation.
Nice. I thought you were about to billboard something R-Truth related, and I got excited for a moment. Perhaps you'll give me the dance at some point during this episode.
Maybe.
The girl can dream.
We'll see what we can break out at the end. We'll never know. I might have some choreography ready. Maybe do Damian Priest's entrance once or twice.
Maddie, you got anything before we get to the news?
No, not necessarily. Of course, we want to thank our sponsors. We've got right now the broasters.com. If you go over there, guys, and get a bag of Russo Bro coffee, right now they're giving you 33% more for the same price. So if you just pick up one regular bag, you're going to get yourself some more coffee. Or you can still use the code Bro. I think it's Bro5LB, and you can save yourself $10 off the 5-pound bag. So we're saving you money there. So go check out the Russo Bros coffee on the broasters.com. ZordosOliveOil.com. as well as the Roadcasters. If you want to check out, what is it, road.com/Roadcaster Pro. That's right. They've hooked us all up with all the stuff here.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So it's going to be great. And so if you want to be like everybody, be cool, go to road.com/Roadcaster Pro. I know Ben is working on getting us some cool codes for you guys and all the different podcasts.
I'll break Faye back. There isn't the low price is what it is, but you can go to roadmicrophones.com/Roadcaster and see stores near you where you can pick them up, or if you're getting that stimulus check and you're putting it back in your studio, investing in yourself. This is the best piece of equipment that's been invented in the last 20 years. I've been in the studio game for 25 years now, and this thing is what people in the early 90s would have paid 20 grand for this, and you can get it for $600. And sometimes you can find a special on it, even through B&H, or I just want to keep that money as local as possible. I know I have Big Apple Music here near me. I try and spend money with them. So whoever you can support locally instead of but if you get it at rock bottom prices, it's coming from Rode either way. And it's an awesome piece of equipment.
Oh, will you fucking stop?
Okay, take it easy. I'm fucking putting over Rode.
Now go home and get your fucking shine box.
Okay.
Well, I've got a bag here. My bag's probably different to the one that Matt has at his desk. But Hamin, I have found a treasure trove while doing some cleaning. And I would like you to see some of the titles I have here. I'm sure you recognize this box.
Yeah, that's the classic OVW. Is that Atlas to Bone in the middle? I can't tell.
Nope, we got Anthony Bravado, Scott Cardinal, Dirty Money, and Melanie. So this match featured Aaron the Idol Stevens and Eugene versus Theta Lambda Psi. And this was the Road to Thanksgiving Thunder tag team tournament.
I don't think I have that, to be honest with you.
I got it. Future Shock.
No.
This was the infamous and rotten disbanding of Totally Awesome. Myself and we were young and dumb, and the match was also dumb. This is a Saturday night special with Marcus Anthony, great talent.
Is that the one where he does the move on the 450 and fucking I might have been against, no, I don't think it was against Mono. I showed Mono, he was laughing his ass off, but Marcus Anthony goes, oh, whoa, boom, and eats shit, did move on the 450 for no reason whatsoever. Bro.
No, I don't think so.
And he didn't splash out. He landed on his knees and then his head hit the mat. I messaged him. I go, don't ever do that again, you idiot.
This actually features one of my favorite matches. It was a referee grudge match with Chris Sharp versus Josh Ashcraft.
Oh,
that was the match of the night on the show.
Well, Sharp's had a couple. He had that well-dressed man match. That was a big one too.
That's my favorite match I've ever booked, the referee tuxedo match.
Awesome.
This was a Ring of Honor DVD, the Battle of Richmond. It was Totally Awesome's huge return to their hometown.
Yeah.
We got some Derby City Wrestling, Hamin's favorite.
Which episode did they get there?
This is 71.
Ooh,
Jesse Mercer.
The last episode.
Mm-hmm. Jesse Mercer versus Ali Akbar.
Oh, the
Big
squash
Cat versus Los Rojos. Rough Rider Rashad versus Dre Blitz.
Nice.
Sure that's a classic.
Hell yeah.
The Welsh Warrior versus Hog Wild. Who is the Welsh Warrior?
That was the kid who came from Scotland. Dre Blitz goes, I don't like you changing in my area. Now get out. And Welsh Warrior was talking to Twink on the phone. You remember that?
Yeah, that's the one I messaged you and was like, who is this guy? All right, now it makes sense. Susio and Shiloh were in this one.
Oh, that's good.
This is a classic. I don't know if you've even seen this. The Best of Paradise on TV.
I've seen the cover, but I don't have that DVD. I need that.
Derby City Wrestling featuring Shiloh versus Richard Cranium.
Oh, wow.
Turk versus Ranger Revolver.
You know what that is, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ranger Milton as a revolver.
I love that gimmick. This also features.
They took that. Well, stop, because they took that from DCW and put it on Charlie Haas on WWE TV. I was like, how desperate are they if they're taking DCW wrestle crap gimmicks and putting it on Charlie Haas, bro?
And then Curtis Axel after.
Yep.
This one also features my favorite segment in Derby City Wrestling history, titled Al Barone Collects Dues.
Forget about it.
So
Capiche?
and then we got Ali Baez there on Thanksgiving Thunder.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'll end on that. There's more. We'll show them next week. But I mean, can you briefly explain the Albarone collects dues segment?
Okay, sure. So Albarone is like right out of Central Casting and was probably a bag man for the mob in Toronto as well. And he's up there now. Great friend of Santino Morella's and Big George. And he was a man amongst kids. You know, like this guy is legit like mob fucking bag man. But he's got so much respect. And I love the Sopranos so much. And people were kind of making a rib out of him, and I was like, "Nah, Albarone, you ain't no rib, bro." And we're gonna make you the dues collector for Rip Rogers. So he became just a bag man, and I would take things from The Sopranos and other mob movies. So when he came through the curtain, we'd hit it black and white, and Godfather theme would play, and he'd come out and shrug his nose at it, and he'd take the young boys like Benny or Hog Wild or somebody else. He like,
let's do the Benny one.
So he goes, "You didn't pay your dues to Rip Rogers this week," and he goes, "Come on, kid. Give me what you got." And then Benny be like, I don't have it. And he goes, "I know you got something. Give me him." And then fucking he'd reach in Benny's pocket and he have like $1 and change or something. He's like, "That's not enough." And then he fucking give Benny a heart punch, and Benny will lay down, and then he'd pull his pants off and take his shoes and pants and leave him in his underwear. And that was his dues collecting that week. So next week you wouldn't get left in your underwear. You'd have your dues money for Rip Rogers. So he was Rip's hitter. And then the heart punch was just a one and done. So we had all these like douchebag characters because kids couldn't work. So we just make fun characters to get them over, and they would get over awesome. And then Albarone just come in and fucking lay him out. And Albarone, he was decent enough in practice in slow motion at chain wrestling and whatnot, but the more you make him move around, the bigger chance it would be to expose him too. And the guy is right out of Central, like mob movies in fucking Cagney's time, bro. This guy is right off the screen. Like I dream to be able to work with talents like that someday again in a big capacity, dude. But you go to war with the army that you got, not the one that you want. And we had a lot of fun with Albarone collecting dues, knocking out young boys in the fucking ring, man. It was good stuff.
The Benny one was so good because Barone instructs him to empty his pockets. And Benny says, "I don't have anything." And then he says, "Give me your shoes." So Benny gives him his sneakers. And then he says, "All right, give me the shirt." And then he says, "All right, now your pants." And then there's an audible gasp. And then Benny's sitting there and he's wearing boxer shorts for some reason. Right. And as we know, as males, there's a hole in boxer shorts. So I could see Benny fearful that his worm was going to peek through. And I had the pleasure of being on commentary for this. So the line that makes it is Barone says, "Look at me." And Benny looks at him and he goes, "Now look over there." And when he looks over there, fucking Barone clocks.
"Look at me. Now look over there." he just making him dance and then whack and make the knockout as easy as possible. That stuff is just gold, man. Like, who gives a shit about a match? That was about the student lifestyle of and that's what they're trying to do on Being the Elite. They're really trying to do it, but they could take a little bit of that and put that on their show and clip the rest of it. It would have teeth instead of trying to do these matches with just way too much in them, man. So Derby City Wrestling, we'll do more watch-alongs at patreon.com/Hamin Media Group. Thank you, Sil. That made me feel good this morning.
Yeah, man. To tie this together, you love comedy. You've done stand-up. You love wrestle crap. Do you like Being the Elite?
I liked a little of it when it first started, when it was a fuck you to the business. But then once Adam Cole and all those guys started jumping on it, it became like, and not as organic as what it originally was in Raw. And now it's just a place for guys who aren't good improvisers or comedic performers to do bits that are hacky. And I don't get me wrong, I like a hacky bit if it's done with the utmost respect to it. But what they're doing, putting on little cowboy hats as the Dark Order and shit like that, that don't impress me much.
How about you, Maddie? You like Being the Elite?
I do. I enjoy it. I didn't like this week's edition, just because like I ended up having to turn it off about 4 or 5 minutes into it. They had Kenny Omega opening up like cards, like WCW cards or whatnot. Like it was an unboxing that he just got at Swap Meet, and one of the cards that he pulled out was Doom, and he didn't initially know who it was until somebody yelled in the background, "That's Butch Reed!" And so I was like, I think it might have been Kazarian, because I think he was in the room too. And then I think I heard him go, "Rest in peace, Butch." So like a little upset that Kenny didn't know, because he was just like, "Oh, for me," and I was just like, "No," and I just turned it off because I don't know, I just didn't want to continue watching. Most of the time, I do like it.
There's bright moments, I'm sure, but it's when you're overdoing the bit then and going from one to the next, it just I don't know, it's not SCTV, believe me, you know. And I've just come before wrestling, I came from the highest level of comedy of you know, you better have your shit together because you're about to be judged by the masters. So when I see amateur shit, it's just like ugh. And they've got contracts.
See, I'm a new viewer because I got sick of asking a question and hearing Matt say, well, no, 2 weeks ago I'm being the elite, blah, blah, blah. So there's why it makes sense. Watching from an outside perspective, I like it. I enjoy it. My only main criticism of being the elite is I hate the fact that they still do angles there that we don't know about on Dynamite. We've been saying it for months. If they could fix that, I'd be all for it.
All they got to do is really strip down the crap from being the elite and take 2 minutes of it to tell the storyline and put that on their show. Boom. That's a great, you know, little addition to whatever we need to do here, instead of having run in upon run in upon run in to try and tell the story, tell the lead up, pay it off. Next segment, not pay it off. Here comes somebody else. Like, ugh, missing. They did it 3 times on this show.
They did. Well, I've got a couple stories here, guys, before we get in. I do see some people in the chat room asking questions. But yes, we will get to what Ben and Silvio's thoughts on the Shaq spot with Cody here on the AEW review. But 6 hours ago, guys, Jim Crockett Jr. Passed away. So I thought maybe we should just go and make note of that here, as it is, of course, will be a big story here as the day and the days to come, as he passed away at the age of 76. Now, reportedly dealing with liver and kidney failure. He's been in hospice care the past few days. Robert Gibson posted that on his Facebook. And then, of course, WWE saddened to learn that Jim Crockett passed away at the age of 76. They put out a whole spiel on about how, you know, he was a promoter of the influential careers of Hall of Famers such as Flair, Steamboat, the Road Warriors. And, of course, he was the purveyor and part of the family that started Crockett Promotions from 1977 to 1989. Now, of course, I was not really alive for the duration of any Jim Crockett Jr. promotion. I mean, I was born in 88, and other than going back and, you know, really watching, you know, some highlights, I wasn't there to maybe experience the height. Silvio, did you find yourself a big Jim Crockett fan growing up?
Well, being a Virginian, I was, you know, in the head of Crockett territory. Crockett, man, is an interesting story. He ended up, I think it was 1977, where he took over Jim Crockett Promotions when his father passed away. Jimmy Crockett, the man who just died, he didn't want the business. His dad started doing boxing and other things, and it morphed into wrestling. But their little promotion based out of North Carolina was a fucking powerhouse. Like, this is one of the great stories of wrestling. So if Vince McMahon's dad, Vincent J. McMahon, was up here on the totem pole of wrestling territories, I would say Jim Crockett Promotion was just a few inches below that as far as the South is concerned. They were so good, in fact, that when the NWA was very, very viable, his promotion, JCP, turned into just being called NWA. That's how powerful they were. He did a phenomenal job of promoting it in the Southeast and making it something every household in the South knew Dusty. They knew Flair. People's grandmothers. When I go to Virginia, if I speak with someone over the age of 50, 60 years old, they will talk about sitting with the entire family at 6:05 Eastern and watching Dusty and Nikita Koloff, all these guys. So they did a great job. And I believe it was Ric Flair who said, had Jim Crockett kept his business in that area, the promotion would still be alive and thriving today. So that might be a lesson that future companies can learn from. What killed them was the expansion, spending money, trying to move to Dallas, buying the office from Bill Watts. So they had the Dallas office where Dusty Rhodes was sitting pretty on the private jet. Spent a shitload of money, didn't get as much return, and they had to sell out to Turner. But rest in peace, Jim Crockett. Do some research on him, guys. He was one of the influential members and a very, very important guy in what we know as modern pro wrestling. So rest in peace, Crockett.
Ben, I'm sure you probably talked a little bit about Snuff Riot Locker Room, but I'm curious, as far as, Jim Crockett Promotions itself, he had the opportunity to work with Paul Heyman, right, in the early 90s on launching World Wrestling Network. If that had launched and taken off, could I guess maybe the outcome of maybe ECW and other promotions had a different take than what we're at now today?
Possibly, but it's all about the Monday at the end of the day when you're running a promotion, man, to be able to get guys where they need to go and be on tour and on the road and have the sets look the right way. I didn't appreciate Jim Crockett Promotions till I went to OVW. It was when I was a fan in the Northeast, being the exact opposite of Silvio in the North. We looked at that shit. Here's my New York for you. It looked like shit. Looked like scumbag. Looked like scumbag wrestling. Looked like trailer park scumbags. And I didn't know like what it was. Like they had guys who were out of shape, big bellies, like that holdover of the 70s wrestler. Meanwhile, in WWE, everyone's gassed to the fucking gills from Dino Bravo and the Montreal Mob. That was just how I looked at it. And then obviously once I'm sitting there training with Robert Gibson, sitting by him at Six Flags, my whole perspective, I'm on the other side now. It changes. And I look at all that shit and go, fuck the piece of twine or the smoky room or, anything along those lines, or that their graphics and shit were like 5 years behind WWE's. I think that was like a big part of it too. It's because, and I was young, man. I mean, 85, I was probably when I would have seen it, and I was about 8 years old then. So I just felt, and we're in school and you're just learning little bits of history that the North kicked the shit out of the South. So instantly, if I see Southern, I'm like, you suck. The little New York asshole needs to get punched in the mouth, right? So, but no, man, the guy did an incredible job, to grow his company and be a big part of the business and see talent in Dusty Rhodes and things along those lines to do something, because once a guy like Dusty makes it to WWE, they make a rib out of him. So that's really where Dusty and those guys did their best work, their swan song work. They're like, he was just showing you a DCW. Right. I feel that way about 2C. Not that I'm up on the road or anything, but I feel that way about 2CW, OVW, and DCW. My best and creative blood and effort is in there while I'm paying to do it. And I'm sure a lot of guys feel that exact way about Crockett. I'm sure NWA will pay huge respect to the Crockett Cup. And I'm sure Cody has something cool planned for Great American Bash or a Crockett Cup crossover or something along those lines, because those guys respect wrestling and the foundations of where it came from. So definitely, 76 years old still, I got 33 years left, and then we're checking out.
You're getting there, man. It's interesting what you said about the production value, because I had that same perception as a kid. When you watched Vince's show, everything was bright. It was colorful. Fuck Dick Ebersol and NBC on Saturday Night's Main Event. It just changed the game. But what was cool about JCP and NWA is they didn't sell you pomp and circumstance. They sold you emotion, which you now know with all the education you've gotten in this industry. That's at the core of everything, and they were the fucking masters of it. Better than Vince in his wildest dreams. So, Vince had the audible, the visual idea of it. JCP had the heart of pro wrestling.
So to go back to Matt's question, if that dream alliance would have happened, that's what Crockett needed, was big, bright vision, cool, cutting edge stuff that Paul Lee could have given him in editing, with Crockett's perfect, looking at talent for the emotional side of it and getting that performance out of him. That could have been a big sword to go up against on the battlefield. You know what I mean? So woulda, shoulda, coulda. It's the wrestling business. It's carny. It's phony. And sometimes things don't work out that way.
Before we move on to the next story, I just want to know, man, it seems like the last 3 or 4 weeks, or maybe like 8 weeks, like every time we've come on the show, someone's passed away. It's getting a little depressing, people. I'm sad.
Welcome to professional wrestling.
Oh,
At least this one, he was in his 70s.
Yeah, at least like this one.
Like the guy's like, finally, I can leave this carny ass business.
Did you guys know he was a current NWA performer, Josephus?
Yeah, well, we've done a lot of work here because because obviously the respect we have for Idol Stevens, and that was his manager at Sensei ? And the A show was kicking off, and he was our guest on the Conspiracy Horseman. It was only probably about 2 hours afterwards that he found out that he had passed in that next day. So we're trying to do all we can to put together highlight reels, and I think they made their latest show free where they talk about it as well. So we're trying just to be honorable like we would be.
Yeah, rest in peace to him as well. He was a good performer and good dude.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to switch gears for a moment here, about 2 days ago, the news broke. I don't know if you saw this, Silvio. I'm sure Ben has seen this and maybe talked about this. I haven't checked out the Friday Locker Room, but Joey Ryan was advertised to appear at a pro wrestling women's charity event. And the news broke out. So Joey Ryan, of course, hasn't appeared much in the pro wrestling scene since he was a target of several allegations allegedly of the speaking out movement. He was recently announced to appear at an upcoming show for a women's charity. And then Ryan has been busy in recent memory, of course, updated fans about the extra work. Now, the whole thing came out, though, as everybody kept, I guess, asking these women, like, who's appearing on the show? And they were never saying his full name. I guess they were just saying Joey. Oh, Joey's going to appear. And everyone just figured, oh, okay, Janela. So they think Janela is maybe putting together the show, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out, it's Joey Ryan. Tony Khan then came out, I believe it was Tuesday night, and then said that if my AEW talent is on the show, or Joey Ryan's on that show, then my AEW talent isn't. And then Joey Ryan ended up tweeting out there that everybody knew that I was on the show and they agreed to do the show. And then he deleted his tweet, and we have not heard from Joey Ryan since. So, thoughts, Chris Silvio? What did you
keep going?
Oh,
there's a little more into it because
hold on. There's more to this too. I want to talk about it, but I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not trying to be a drama queen right now either. But what's the next story in the cancel culture?
I don't know. Where are you going with this?
Not sure, sir.
I thought you had it there. Sorry.
No, I was going to elaborate further on this particular
wrestling
story.
setup event. I mean, that's all. I was just looking at the story, so I'm not sure what you were referring to.
New Japan canceled Skrull right after this.
Did they?
Oh, I didn't know that yet, so I haven't seen it. Sorry.
So there was more in depth to your story, Maddie. So I saw the flyer for this show, and Joey Ryan was featured on the flyer. However, he wasn't prominent. There was a lot of people on it. He was smaller at the bottom row of people, but it wasn't in his traditional garb with the mustache and shades. He looks like a normal indie guy. You may not know it was him. Where the controversy comes, the conspiracy, if you will, Hamin, was that they found the account, whatever they were using, Eventbrite or whatever ticket selling, they found an email that was allegedly linked to Bar Wrestling. So it not only appeared that Joey was appearing on this show, but he also may have been the one behind the scenes promoting the show. When all this came out, talents got pulled, and whatever this company is closed down their Twitter account. They promptly said, we're not going to do the show because people are mad. And
yeah, and I had the legal.
You're saying the conspiracy is he created a rebranded front marketing company to run through Bar Wrestling shows through, so people will get booked because his workers will do it, but under the Bar banner, they wouldn't.
Correct.
I gotta fucking say that's a brilliant worker. Fucking.
Well, the thing about it is, and I was going to elaborate too, is there is more legal because I think he's being investigated now by the district attorney's office for said for misusage or misrepresentation of oneself. So there is some investigation in there as well. But I didn't know that Marty Scurll got canceled too. That's crazy. So he's not allowed on any New Japan shows going forward, or is that what it was? The announcement.
Yep.
That's
man.
Let's lead to the bigger conversation because I'm not going to talk about personal shit.
I got it.
Is it done in this cancel culture? Our guys who are wrapped up in this, they're not going to let them go they're just going to keep flogging them. Is there a way for wrestlers who suffered this to get back into the business? I feel there's not like there's a scale. I guess there's a scale of justice, degrees of murder and things. Is there a scale of offense that'll put you in the penalty box for a certain amount of time, or are you just done and it's time to fucking move on to the next phase in your life, because they're never going to let you go, because this SJW culture that fucking says one thing over here practices another over here, but when they get a fucking target, they all come back together and they fucking wail on it to make themselves feel better. But that's somebody's life you're fucking with. So regardless of what kind of dirt you did on yourself, and is it karma coming back for Joey Ryan as he tries to pull a pretty supreme worker move from if you're on the mob side, that's strong style. I like it, but not trying to sell for him, but caught, somebody's going to stooge, and then they come back on you. And then that ripple effect is felt by other people who didn't have nothing to do with that. And if they're lower on the scale, do they get a chance to come back through again? It's like Hollywood picking you up, taking you all the way to the top, and then kicking you back down to the end of the line. In the new Patrice O'Neal movie that they did, he really lays it out there. Am I going to wait to get in this line to get back on the ride again, just because I know it's going to take me up there and kick me off again? We keep doing this type of shit, but are they even allowed back in the line, or they got to go way to the back of the line, because it's going to take a lot of time if they ever get an opportunity again?
I think there's a path to redemption for some, and it's going to be based on the severity. Look, I am far from somebody that would be considered right wing today in America's vernacular, but there are a lot of aspects about cancel culture that I don't like. Some of the exclusion of people, and I just don't like any group of people who attacks one person. Of course, there's exceptions to that, but let's go down this rabbit hole a little bit. Matthew, you're a young single man.
Yes.
Let's say an 18-year-old. You know an 18-year-old. Would you, as a 32-year-old man, what would your thoughts be on pursuing a relationship with an 18-year-old? Honestly.
To be quite honest, I was when I was 26. I kind of dated a 19-year-old, but I didn't pursue her. It was by cause. It was just having to be a friend of a friend. So it's
now today at 32, 18-year-old.
No, it's a little too young for me. That's almost half my age. That's a little weird.
Okay.
At that point, she's younger than my sister. My sister's 23. So
let's say you just finished a gig. You played a great set. You're at this bar. You've had 6 drinks, and a smoking hot 18-year-old is there. You're having a good time. She's flirting with you. Is there potential that could possibly lead to something that night between you and said woman?
In all probability, as far as the probabilities in math, there is a chance. Yeah, you can't say there isn't.
Right. So that's the unfortunate part of Marty Scurll as well. Marty Scurll was in England when his thing happened, and this was a 16-year-old girl. By our culture here in America, that's deplorable. There's a little bit of an ethical question, but in the UK, a 16-year-old is considered an adult. We graduate high school at 18. They're done with school at 16 and are beginning their lives. The age of consent there is 16. So ethically, yeah, it's a little iffy. Like, a guy my age has no business hanging around an 18-year-old woman, but technically there's nothing illegal to it. That's what happened to Marty Scurll. And my previous interactions with Marty, he's always seemed like a pretty good guy. He did something stupid and fucked up while he was drinking, a similar scenario to what I just laid out for you. And I think most men listening, if they were in a similar situation as a single guy and this woman is of legal age and we're drinking, our judgment may not be what it usually is. So unless there's more to his story, I think some of Marty's is a bit unfair, because we're judging him by U.S. standards of what an adult is. I don't think it's right. I'm not excusing it. I was in the UK many times, and because I'm an American, sleeping with a 16-year-old girl would not even be on my radar. But he's English.
Yeah, I would also have to point out that I would never put myself in that situation. Just for the record, I don't drink a lot, anyways.
There you go. Maybe a lot of edibles.
Yeah, then I'd probably be in a hotel room playing my 64 in the hotel because it's Japan. They got stuff there. Well, that's all. I guess the big stories I have. Unless you got anything else, Silvio, you want to just before we get into the AEW Dynamite review.
Yeah, I got a quick one. Did you guys hear the recent excerpts from the recent interview with Ric Flair?
I didn't hear those. Maybe I heard one clip.
So I think you'll have some insight on this.
On the Big Show one or a different one?
I can't remember the exact source, so forgive me. You guys know I'm not a journalist. I'm a wrestler. So an interview was done somewhere with Flair, and he talked about, they asked about his relationship with Arn Anderson, and he currently says he has no relationship with Arn, and it stems back to the passing of his son Reed, who tragically died. He said Arn never reached out to him. When Flair had his own medical issues and almost died recently, Arn didn't reach out. About Reed, he listed Barry Windham, Tully, Ole, that none of them reached out to check on him or be there for him as a friend. I mean, you and I have both learned this, unfortunately, the hard way throughout our years in wrestling. So what are your thoughts on the Flair and Arn situation, but overall in wrestling, how to you and I, that's far from unthinkable.
Yeah, that's so fucked in my opinion, man. And I can't say these guys haven't experienced loss because they have, from Benoit to Perfect to whoever. So they should know. And I can't see that type of behavior unless the only quarter I could give is that Rick isn't saying something and he fucked them over 6 ways to Sunday before that they would hold a grudge. But my God, I don't care who it is, if Ali had it, we haven't talked in a while, but if he had a kid and it passed away, you damn sure I'd be sending my most heartfelt condolences, even if his dog died and he's upset. You know what I mean? I'm going to be there for somebody. To have a guys you made millions of dollars with and are your friends and have been all over the world with, and your kid passed, maybe it's because you weren't home or the best father, you tried to be friends with him and didn't want to face his true addiction issues because you got your own issues. You can't even call yourself your real name. There's a lot to deal with just unpacking that alone. But Jesus Christ, how could Arn, who you'd think would be a man, these other guys, not just do the right thing and offer condolences? Or if he's on deathbed and kicks out, you're not going to say the last things you want to say to somebody. So you're not left there holding the bag going, Jesus, I wish I would have unpacked all this and had the chance to talk to him one more time. They forego that at that age. Boy, that's lesser men. I lose. Like, I'm not here to back up any of Ric Flair's fucking hedonistic behaviors that have landed him in karma situations with 4 ex-wives and being broke at this age in his life and having to do pregnancy angles just for a paycheck. That's his own making to live in. But as men, that shows a very big lack of character, in my opinion.
So yeah, this that story that you were referring to, Silvio, of course, I think it was about a little bit a week ago, and it was because the Nature Boy admitted that he no longer had that relationship. I think Triple H got him a ring as well after the passing of Reed, pulled him into his office. Ric Flair went on to say that he thought like he was going to be in trouble when he was down at the Performance Center, and that Ric Flair pulled him in. And I guess it was revealed that when Reed passed, Ric Flair placed his Hall of Fame ring on Reed's hand in the casket. So Triple H got him a replacement ring that had Reed's name inscripted on it.
That's a man. I mean, you can say what you want to about cutting throats in this biz and getting to where he had to, the ball, whatever. That's what a man does. And all those other guys are lesser men who should take a fucking lesson. That's a guy who came through Killer Kowalski's school on his own dime, that ran the shithouse indies, fucking got the terrorizing bit, the Connecticut Blue Blood, the fucking bag holder for Sean, all the way to where he is now. That's not somebody who's had it handed to him, who just claims that there's something and that they're not. That's fucking work ethic. That's character. That's there. You can fault him on 100 other things, but that alone tells the tale, doesn't it? That's not nothing that is out in the public until Rick says it. It's not like a DDP yoga thing where they're like, and here's our success story. Let's get it all on camera. That's a man to a man saying, I want you to be able to sleep at night, bro.
And this is more insight into part of the pro wrestling world that a lot of the fans won't know about. You won't know about it unless you're deep into it. There's a phrase that everyone's probably heard, at least the three of us, that you're lucky to leave the business with 5 friends. And that holds very true. You have these people that are a part of your life for so long, and you see them more than your family. You travel together. Like I remember just Hamin talks about the core. We spent our holidays together, everything else. And unfortunately, what happens, you develop these bonds with people and they break over time. And some people choose to make that choice, much like what Flair's alleging Arn did, where they say, all right, I cared about this guy, but I'm not going to be there for him anymore. And I've had it happen to me, and it sucks. I had some life changes and life-changing events within the last few years. And, I've gotten to see the unfortunate side of that, of, the people that were once on your side that no longer are. But unfortunately, it's one of the dark aspects of wrestling that's just unavoidable for all of us.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is going to sound so self-serving, like I'm such an asshole. But like the fuse is what it is because I wanted Sil to have something to wrap his mind around to get on the horse and have a voice, because I know he's a brilliant, brilliant performer, director, and talent. And he was in a bad way. And you can go back to the early shows and see that he wasn't as cognitive as he is now. But maybe like the fuse was that exact all I had to offer at that time. But I wasn't going to let him sit there in the trenches while the fucking business goes on and he's just scrapping to fucking do whatever. One little step forward and pulling your buddy along with you instead of leaving him behind just to be self-serving is what it's really all about, man. I'm not trying to sell for myself if it comes off that way. I'm just saying, know that that's what this is.
And you're not an asshole, and you're not putting yourself over. What you're saying is the truth. This show, I've spoken about it before, but this show has helped me in a lot of ways. I can't even go into it in today's episode to, show how much it did.
I'm not even trying to blow you off that way.
That's some of the relationships that people keep, and that choice that Hamid made to say, hey, let's get something going with Chris, was beneficial, and it meant a lot to me and still does.
I know.
Unfortunately, we got the other side of the coin where that doesn't always happen, as in evidently the Flair and Arn's case. But we're here, and we've made the show the best. We made Russo move to Tuesday nights.
That's it.
We're gravy, man. We're fucking on top of the world. We're Shaq.
Number 1. That's it. By the way, how come I didn't get 2 Hammy Awards? I should have got one for the Light the Fuse review show, and I should have got.
I only got one for myself too. There were only 4 came from Larry Higgs.
That's fine. I'll use the medal as my producer one, and the Hammy is for us. That's right.
Beautiful.
Mine's in there. It's beautiful. It is. I like it. Now I can slap myself with it. That's what I'm telling you. It hurt because that 5 sticks out, man.
That sticks out. You'll get gigged, no doubt.
Unity.
Guys, well, let's get into some AEW news here before we get into the actual review as far as the numbers for last week. So AEW's results for last week's episode, they had a total of 831,000 views. So there was an uptick. Now, there is a rumor going around that WWE NXT might be leaving. We don't know. The Wrestling of Schmerver is reporting that unfortunately, NXT may be heading back to Tuesdays. Now, that may also be in play because they might be thinking about putting, I guess, another version of NXT on Wednesdays, like a Volve type show. And that would then, I think, probably be exclusive to the network, because I think that's what I've heard, that they were going to do another development type show on the network for Peacock as they're trying to provide them more content. So, but that being said, if NXT does leave, at that point, AEW then takes over Wednesday night, NXT gets Tuesday, and I think you'd probably have higher ratings on both shows. So I think everybody wins, right, Silvio?
I think NXT ratings will stay the same, and AEW ratings should go up. That's going to be the true test and the answer to many arguments me and Ben have had on this show. I think that'll put AEW in the position to get around that 1 million mark if they use consistency. But NXT will stay the same.
Well, NXT last week had 734,000, so it wasn't a bad evening for them as well. And of course, as far as some of the numbers, AEW's YouTube viewership last Wednesday was down a little bit, just about 100,000, 2.1 million. The most viewed video was that Sting returning. He's back and getting ready to go to war with Darby Allin coming down the zip line. That got 900,000 views. The least viewed video was Nyla Rose versus Britt Baker. The average viewership for all the YouTube views itself, for all the videos, was 211,000. So let's get into some AEW Dynamite. AEW Dynamite last night started off hot as we got the tag team match that they've been building up for a couple weeks. And shockingly, I liked that they started off with this. It was just right away. You had Shaq and Jade Cargill versus Cody and Red Velvet. Some great stuff here. I was definitely surprised with how good Shaq looked in the ring for somebody who's never wrestled a match. I would assume I was sitting there with Joe, and Joe obviously runs Primo's Pro Wrestling. He pointed out, he was like, QT Marshall's, I'm assuming, out there because he's probably agenting the match and helping Shaq, telling him where to go. You know what I mean? But that being said, Shaq took a huge bump. He went through a table, flew through that table, and sold the crap out of his two tables. I'm sorry, because he's a big guy. Yeah, he had to go through 2 tables. Correct me. But yes, fantastic match opening, and Jade Cargill got the win. So I think the right talent went over here, and this can also set up either Shaq versus Cody, or Cody brings in Big Show, and now we've got Cody versus Big Show. Sorry, Shaq versus Big Show match that everyone's speculating about as well. Mr. Sexian, what did you think?
Well, as you can see in the title, I have to eat crow, and I'm going to do it in front of our audience. I said for several weeks, how the fuck are they going to do this? This looks awful on paper. And it did, especially with when they had Brandy in there. No offense to Brandy. I like Brandy just fine. But I have to eat crow. This was fucking good. And it was a spectacle. Shaq played his role pretty much to perfection. He did very few things, and all the things he did looked believable. Cody went out of his way to make Shaq look like a monster, and Shaq did business. On the other side, Red Velvet is getting a lot better. She was better than Brandy would have been in this situation because Velvet's a bit more developed as a pro wrestler. But she's going to be overshadowed by Cargill. This was Jade's first match. So again, on paper, when you're thinking about this jacked girl that's not a wrestler having her first match, oh my God, disaster can strike. But she held up her end. And because she looked so unique and is so different, I think her performance is going to overshadow Red Velvet, who did her fair share of the workload. But I was very impressed with Jade, and not just like some of the moves she hit and the athleticism, which were all great, but she showed some details that take a lot of performers a long time to get. Her ring positioning was pretty spot on, especially for a debut. She knew to take the time to play to the cameras, which is something that takes people years to make. There are things I can nitpick about it, but I won't. This was if they were going to start the show, we'll talk later about the main event, but if they were going to start the show with this, cool. It started hot, and the first hour of the show was great, and that's due mostly because of that match. So I got to give him props and eat my crow.
Hey, Ben, Shaq delivered that big old power bomb. Bakujo points out in the chat room there was a no sell for it. Did that?
Yeah, he fucking power bombed him, and then Cody reached up, dinged him in the eye. This match was not good.
Oh, come on. Here he goes. Go ahead. Rain on my parade.
Looks great. Cody did a great job trying to move him around. Shaq moves fine because he's fucking all-star athlete. Super impressive. The bump was cool, but this was not a good match. Like, even Jade at the end hits the finisher, and they have to move camera around. And just people who shouldn't be on TV. Like, looks great. They're not. They shouldn't be on TV. They're not ready for TV. They definitely should be on TV. They're just not there yet. But this is, it could have been 1,000 times worse. But here we go.
Well, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. Oh, boy, got a thing. Talk a bit so that we don't get picked up. Just pulling out the ladder for those who are listening on the audio podcast.
Table.
This would have been one of the things that I could have nitpicked if I chose to. But due to the overall success of the match, I left out this
Yeah, this was a little weird. QT Marshall eventually ends up helping somebody put the table together.
Red Velvet, who I knew was going to struggle with it because it's hard to do. You have to learn how to set up a table in wrestling.
You have to learn how to set up.
You do.
So he says.
You do, because you don't realize how heavy that fucker is when it's upside down.
This match is awesome. This is awesome. This is awesome.
She's extreme too. Yeah,
yes. At this point of the match, I'm thinking to myself, it doesn't make much logical sense for them to have gone out and busted out the tables. But due to the end result and a believable way to get Shaq out of the picture, at the end of the day, I was cool with it.
I would say in defense of Red Velvet here, there was a lot of questionable direction and camera cuts in this episode, which I think is interesting because it's been noted before in the past that Cody is usually overseeing things. He's not out here watching this match. And there was a lot of camera production issues from when Shaq took the bump and then quickly them going back into the ring, but then them hitting to the back outside to see what was going on with Shaq as Jade Cargill and Red Velvet hit a big move. And
they missed her spear. They missed Red Velvet's spear.
So like there was a lot of production direction issues in that match, and it was just very weird.
And then Shaq is in the ambulance, and then they cut back to the ambulance, and Shaq is not in the ambulance.
Weird.
This is great stuff. That's
and we didn't find out where he was later.
Because that was it wasn't supposed to be the magic disappearing Shaq. It was a fuck up from a pre-tape being put in there or going back to a live feed, and they thought they were done. And Shaq was like, "I'm fine. I'll get on now." And they get on there, so whatever. And then
Shivani could have looked in the window and seen there was no Shaq. I don't know if I believe that.
You
can't miss Shaq
throwing overhand wrestling chops. Dude, light him up. Like
he got him with a couple good ones, bro.
What the first one, second one was third one was rotten. It was so bad, bro.
All right, I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire because I've had it up to here with you with your shenanigans.
Oh,
can you honestly look at?
I'm gonna keep going. And this was the wrong spot to put the match in. You start. Why do you have Shaq on? To get new viewers. You want new viewers, yes, from the NBA. So you start with Shaq getting ready backstage. Shaq, big match tonight. How you feeling? I'm ready to go. Me and Corey gonna get it. Jay gonna get out there. We're gonna get it. This motherfucker. And boom. And then he's taping up and getting ready. Then they gotta wait because they don't know when it's coming. You give it to them in the middle at the top of the hour one as you build to it going forward. There was no build up whatsoever. They gave him the match out of the gate, and anybody who watched that match went, what did they do afterwards? Cool, I saw Shaq. I'm done. As bad of a booking choice as you get from Booker of the Year. Apparently he knows something I don't about how to billboard a fucking match and get new viewers and keep them for an hour, because that's the whole purpose of having Shaq on your show.
I'll agree with you to an extent. I probably would have made that the main event. It might have worked in the middle of the card, like you said. They chose to do it with the first. But here's where I'm going to hold your feet to the fire. Can you look at myself and Matthew Shaffergage in the eye and honestly say to us and all of your loyal listeners that didn't go as good as it possibly could have? Considering Shaq's never wrestled, isn't a wrestler, and Jade had her first match. What else would you want him to do? Put on a fucking 30-minute clinic? It's Shaq.
I know. I get it. If you and I were in Gorilla and we looked at each other and went, okay, we made it through that one.
We'd have been all right. We would have been high-fiving and fucking kissing ass.
Absolutely. But I'm not the guy. I would never book a match with Shaq and two greenhorns to have Cody lead it to start with. So I'd never put myself in that position.
But he did a good job. Cody did. God,
he did, except for no selling the power bomb and poking him in the eye.
That's a nitpick. That's the least of our worries.
I mean,
the whole thing was comical at best.
Well, of course, first of all, I think I hope that we get to see on TNT at some point in time now Shaq saying, "Hey, Cody, tell me how my ass tastes." We get that rendition The second thing here, I said
I just want to stop calling things good that are just above rotten. Like that is my scale doesn't go rotten, good. Like good is up here. I haven't seen good in years. Maybe Wrestle House I would call good, but that's still wrestle crap. Done well. I haven't seen good in a long time, bro.
It was a spectacle, and I believe it was good, and it captured my attention.
Sure.
And
so
imagination.
So does a fucking burning car wreck on the side of the road.
Yeah, but you only look at that for a second. I watched this for
That's about
17 minutes.
Guys, Rad
Rob, what's good?
Rad's on the air? No, I don't know. Is that you?
No, I just say the YouTube video popped up and there he was.
The other thing I was going to say is, unfortunately, the individual who directed this match may not have an opportunity for a long time again to direct said match, because there was a lot of questionable camera angles and choices. I mean, even that table spot you were showing me, as I was watching back in, I was like, he didn't even follow the basic 180-degree roll, which is you're not supposed to like go from cut to cut in that same 180-degree arc.
Oh my God.
Jesus Christ. Wow.
Which is why you then cut to something, the other action, because there's a tag match, and then you can come back to it. So there was a lot of questionable things in there. And when Cody took over, I'm not saying everything turned better, but I didn't see too many directive issues after that. So if he resumed his duties after
Cody and QT both are very instrumental in that process, and with them both at ringside, I could see the margin of error. And you guys, you notice more about production than I do. I just noticed the missed spear, but evidently it's enough for you to be talking about it as a production.
Did you like it when they had the Barstool Sports guy on and his mic wasn't on when he asked his question?
See, I didn't even notice that. Honest.
bad. But we'll get to that. And I know I was watching it with Joe. Joe was kind of freaking out and different things. He was getting hot. It was hilarious watching him get upset. And this was that next. That was the Inner Circle press conference, right? So the Inner Circle came out, or they announced they were coming out to do their press conference. Came out, did their press conference after the commercial break, and they had people lined up. Now the Inner Circle said that. They asked them what the titles mean to them. Jericho says that it's been a year since he's had the AEW World Championship. Now, the reason why I'm telling you the first question up front like that is because we couldn't hear it. The first guy was a Barstool Sports guy who, if he was a Barstool Sports guy, he just looked like a regular guy with curly hair and glasses. They threw in some khaki pants and a white dress shirt. He walked up to the podium. The mic did not work, so maybe that was the rib was on him. Because it didn't work, but you couldn't understand.
Right, all of us.
Jericho the Pro. As I was saying to Joe, I was like, Jericho the Pro himself repeated back the question instinctively anyway. So like you got what the question was. And Jericho put over the fact that he hadn't had a championship or hasn't had the AEW World Title in a year, and now he wants some gold once again. We then get Conrad Thompson, who then walks up to the pole and asks them, when will Sammy Guevara be back? This rates MJF, who calls him. I don't know, titties, tough titties, or I forget what the
turkey tits.
Turkey tits is what he likes to call them.
I knew so would pop on that one. And then we get Bischoff too, which further confirms that he's absolutely on the TNT payroll as an advisor, in my opinion. I feel I want to almost reach out to Conrad, man. He needs to make a life change, bro. Like that, he looks very unhealthy, and sure he's not happy. You know what I mean? Even though they get over the JR's wink wink podcast and all that shit, that dude. It's scary when I've seen a lot of friends kind of get to that size and they got to do something drastic, man. So hopefully he wants to make a healthy choice in 2021, dude. But Jericho and MJF are awesome at roast battle. That's what all this is pretty much, right? And getting your shit in on stuff. So the setup worked fine, and the Barstool Sports thing and Cody stooging off that Pat McAfee's asking for a job or whatever. Will we see McAfee and all those guys there soon? Because that last guy from Barstool was just on NXT, and that's when Eli Drake came in. So if Big Show jumped and now Triple H iced out McAfee and that's not a work and they're actually going to jump, won't that fucking piss some people off in the office for week number 2?
So yeah, to finish up the second, of course, Eric Bischoff asked his question was, do you think giving the Young Bucks extra motivation was good? by beating up Papa Buck last week. And then, Jericho shut him down as well. And then the Young Bucks came out. They get in the ring, say that there would be no Young Bucks, no BT, and no AEW without them. MJF would probably be waiting for a call back from Rosie O'Donnell. Jericho would probably be curtain jerking over at the Performance Center. Then the fight breaks out. Brandon Cutler comes out, and then the Good Brothers come out with the table, and they put both Santana and Ortiz through the table. And then was number 2 production, or I guess this would be number 3 production issue. It was such a cool spot, and we got no fucking replay throughout the whole night. They had an awesome spot of him coming off the top of the Tron through one table as Matt is jumping off the stage through another.
That was the coolest fucking camera work of the whole night. That looked awesome.
And then no replay.
But here's the problem. What did they do last week? What? Not the Bucks. What happened to them?
The Bucks tried to save Papa Buck from.
He got his ass whipped, left bloody. Then what do the Bucks do? Do they come right out and kick ass?
No, they came out and cut a promo. Well, there was 5 guys there. They had, that set
it don't matter, dude. I whooped your old man's ass. You gonna come out and talk to me?
Probably not. No.
Well, exactly. So why the fuck are we doing it here?
If there's 6 guys out there, I might come out and talk first.
Let me talk so I can set up for the super kick, just so we can get to that spot that looks awesome. Come out there, whoop ass, bam, 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 bam. Set him up, hit the big spot. Fuck you. You don't ever fuck with my old man. And that's what you say. You don't come out there and set up to do the kicks. Bro, I don't know how they went from 2CW to that, and they don't know that the action where it lies, or if they're just going, yeah, we'll do what Tony wants to, and Tony has no clue what the fuck. But if somebody whips your dad's ass and leaves him bloody, and then you come out to cut a promo, you're wrong. We're rotten.
Silvio, can you put some positive on this? And do you see any positive?
I'll do what I can. I mean, let me ask you this. You've either been present or part of many 6-man matches, correct?
So many shitty 6s.
Okay. So let's say you're the heels. You and the Insurgency are out first. And it's me, Jimmy, and MSG. If MSG comes out first, where's MSG going to be positioned?
At a disadvantage if we're all out there.
No. Like you guys are in the ring.
Oh.
And MSG makes his entrance. Where's he going to stand after he makes his entrance?
He's going to stay probably waiting for his partners to come out. He's not going to get in the ring by himself.
And then once me and Kamikaze Kid come out, we can then enter the ring, right?
And then you run in and we fucking go, oh shit,
right.
They're crazy. And we jump out to the floor and go, no, back them up. Yeah.
That's an old tried and true rule, is that you wait for your backup. So if they were going to do this promo, here's a positive spin. This was the best Young Bucks promo they've ever done in AEW.
It was a good promo, but wrong thing to do.
If they were going to do the promo, then they should have done it at the entrance ramp. And then finally said to themselves, whatever that line is, our dad told us one thing. We may get our asses kicked, but fuck it. We're going to stand up for ourselves. Shirt off, drop the belt, run in, House of Fire, then they get swarmed. What I really didn't like about this part, it was a good segment, but the thing I didn't like was they got swarmed, and very quickly Brandon Cutler comes out and he's kicking ass, and Wardlow you see making an effort to keep him down and making him sell, and all the referees got in. So we didn't have enough time for the Young Bucks getting beat down to show the 5-on-2 advantage or 5-on-3 advantage before all the stuff started happening. Then we had the Good Brothers come out and kind of half-heartedly help the Young Bucks, who are supposed to be big baby faces, and the Good Brothers are with the main event heel. So again, it's the muddy in the waters of all the Young Bucks angles. Then they did that awesome spot with the dives and the table and everything like that. So it had cool parts, but just the timing on some of it was a little bit off, but very great promo by those guys. Just a few changes could have made it a really good segment. But I do agree with you, for the record, it would have been more time for fist than talking. But if they were going to talk, probably would have been best on the entrance ramp.
I agree, Mike Roche. And shout out to Mike Roche, who just donated $5 for a super sticker. You are great, but
Wu-Tang is the best.
So that's just facts. But getting back to this production issue number 4 here, in the middle of this brawl, they cut to a camera shot of Wardlow and Brandon Cutler standing next to each other. They're not fighting. I was just like, what was up with that? Like
and that's on them too. You're out there in the crowd. You are in character doing your stuff. That's heat on both of them.
In Wardlow's defense, Cutler wasn't selling shit. I saw Wardlow have to ground him 2 or 3 times. He was a fucking wrecking machine.
But I want Cutler like that, to be honest with you, because
I don't.
Not
he's an underneath guy that's never won a match.
But
Wardlow should throw him in the front row.
Right. Well, he should, and Wardlow should sell. But Cutler is their best friend, and that he's probably eaten lunch there since he was in 2nd grade. He's like Papa Buck's his dad too.
Sure.
And in the end, Baby should have been up here, hit that big spot. Everybody starts to powder. They fucking super kick this guy, that guy, the other, laying dudes out. So some are down and knocked out. Somebody's staggering. You grab them, put the hockey gimmick on it, call, out comes Papa Buck, takes off the fucking belt and gives him fucking 20 lashes across the fucking back, just whipping the piss out of them. So you can go to a strap match after that if you want to. But, just because it has cool parts, to me, I can't sell that it was done right.
I agree with you too about Cutler and being their best friend. He should have went out there. Look at this example. Let's say Mike Tyson is bullying you and he's beating you up and I'm present. I'm going to run in and help you, but Mike's going to whoop my ass next. It's a given. So that's what should have happened to Cutler. They're whooping 2 guys. There's 5. They're whooping the Young Bucks who are my size. Cutler comes in who's my weight and your height. He could have got a few shots off, but they should have put his ass down. It's just fucking Wardlow's in there. What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
He should be able to eat everybody.
Or there should have been Buck, like Cousins and everybody too, to come in and just
That would have been cool.
Like, you fuck with the family, now you're going to get it.
That would have been cool. Matt, did you find it a little weird that Gallows and Anderson were involved in this?
No, I mean, because they've been like teasing the fact that they're trying to help out their friends on being the elite, not to use that as a reference, but they do their shtick on there where they're technically still buddied with them. And their whole excuse is that, Don Callis, of course, is quote unquote pulling the strings. So he's paying them, to be there. So it's more like they're kind of trying to explain to the Young Bucks, like, reasons why we haven't come out right away. It's not because it hasn't been by choice. It's been more of, we're being paid and told what to do to be here, I guess. So I wasn't surprised as over the last couple of weeks, they kind of at least tried to cultivate that relationship. They haven't had Callis on the show. So with no Callis there, the Good Brothers are free to be and do whatever they feel. So no, didn't shock me at all.
It's pretty much the muddy angle that the Bucks had with FTR when we didn't know who were the heels.
Exactly. That's where we're kind of at right now.
If nobody's got heat, then everybody's lukewarm and nobody gets over.
Well, I don't disagree with that.
Matt, get some heat.
I don't want to skip over the match. We also had Ray Phoenix and Pac taking on John Skyler and D3. And they also came out with -1 as right, because they came out and
those are different segments.
They are.
-1 wasn't part of this. He's not in the Death Triangle.
All right. There's a lot of negative. There's too much dark. There's a lot of dark order here on this show. Mm-hmm. But they had that match. I'm sorry. So we had Ray Phoenix and Pac picking up the victory as Phoenix got a knee to the face and finished Skyler off with a package cutter for the win. Phoenix looked fantastic as he always does. Never match. As you sit there and watch, somebody we were like, yeah, this guy's the best wrestler in the world right now. So, in my opinion, he wanted to argue Okada, but I'm not a New Japan fan, so I'm not going to have that argument.
Okada's good. It was just a straight squash, which AEW should do from time to time. Do you guys know who John Skyler is?
No.
Okay, so I do. John Skyler's
Skyler is reach for the sky. Sorry.
There you go. John Skyler is a Southern indie talent who's probably close to 30. Very, very good worker. Okay. He could be something big. You may not have noticed, but you've seen John Skyler in the background of every taping of Dynamite and Dark for the last 8 months, probably. Skyler got a shot on Dark a while ago, and he blew out his knee. I'm assuming they took care of the medical costs. I don't know. But I do know that as one of his gestures of good faith that to Tony Khan's credit or whoever made this choice, because he got hurt in their ring, they booked him every week so he could get a payday. I don't know what that payday is, but they did all that for him. And he's been on, after he recovered, he's still been in the crowd every week. So we put him on Dynamite for a match. And then we kick the ever-loving shit out of him in 2 minutes. So we've invested money in him for 10 months. And he's a good worker that could be great and knows how to do his shit. And they gobble him up in 2 minutes. Why they chose to pay him for 10 months, and instead of the 50 extras there, throw John Skyler into this and have him take the fall, I don't know.
Well, Sonic the Hedge Rat, as the Big Show Paul White alluded to, and we'll get there, he actually says somebody who should have a Hall of Fame career. Stevie Ray already had a Hall of Fame career, sucker, so I don't think Stevie Ray is showing up to AEW. He could. I don't know. He didn't tell me. If he's kayfabe me, he only told Ben, then I don't know. Fuck. But moving on after that, it was a great, quick match. Ben, did you have any other thoughts on it?
No, man, the guys, I was happy to see a squash. It just moved the show along, you know what I mean?
Me too, just not Skyler after they paid him for 10 months.
No, I get that too, and wrong choice, but they think just the fact that you've been on, you're getting a shot on TV, that's enough. They don't see how short-sighted that is.
After that, then we did have another tag match after the Inner Circles. Took a little bit out of order there, but after the Inner Circle press conference brawl, they did have another tag match. It was another one they've been advertising. FTR and Tully Blanchard's return to the ring against Jurassic Express. And I thought a lot of people seemed to like this match. The reaction I've seen was people thought it was fun, a little fun match. Tully didn't take too big of a bump at all. I think he fell down from a punch, but that was about it. He really didn't take any bumps.
He got gorilla pressed. Marco Stein, and he fucking took the bump there.
Right, you're right. I did miss that one, but yes, that was a little guy, not too heavy. Post match though, after FTR and Tully Blanchard, we did see the Masked Man, Sean Spears, now with blonde hair. Shout out for Sean sticking it for us, cameraman. Comes out and he attacks now with blonde hair, hugs the group, and they all kind of stand together. And it looks like we're going to finally start to get a year and a half late the Four Horsemen reemergence, as Arn Anderson even came out. I also mentioned J.J. Dillon came out for this match too, guys. So it was a reunification of J.J. Dillon, Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard out there. So who knows? If you get Cody on board, maybe we will have a resurgence of the Four Horsemen. Sexy and Eats Crow. What do you think?
This was awesome. Granted, he was dressed like a bowler. He reminded me of Kingpin, but Tully did a fantastic job. He didn't let them let Marco get all his shit in. He did what would happen. He hit Marco and Marco sold, and then later they bumped him with the press slam. It was a fine tag match. But I was so happy to see Tully involved and his spots go well. And it was an added cool factor to have J.J. Dillon there. As a guy in my 30s, it was very nostalgic. But the match was just cool. It felt fun and it felt like something special. What I would have done was main evented with this. Because after this match happened, which we'll get into, I thought the first hour of the show was the best Dynamite ever. But once we got into the second hour, there were no rises. So I think we should have ended with this match, the reveal of Sean Spears, Arn in the entrance ramp going like this, and they go, holy shit, what's going on here? We're out of time. That would have been much cooler than the ending that we got. But I dug it. And Tully got the fucking slingshot suplex in. Come on. Go ahead, try to rain on my parade. But Tully is a fucking bowler doing the slingshot suplex. What you got? Come on.
Yeah, I like that they all had the boots. I'm not sure if they're from SteveTheShoeMan.com or not, but they look good. I like the bowler outfit. It popped me. Right? The old guy thing, man. It fucking makes me laugh. I like old gear like that. It looks like right out of 82. Yeah. With Spears, I wanted more, because he went away frustrated, and then they're trying to put all the black glove and this, and now we're going to try and pimp the Horseman thing on him, which they got to go after Cody. So that's obviously the next business. I was happy to see J.J. Dillon. I know he's having some rough times, cognitively, some things that way too. And it popped me when he did at the end. He goes, "It's not going to get any better than that. That was the best thing you're going to see to Shivani, and Shivani's about to bring the Big Show out, and he goes, "It's not going to get you any more pay." He's not going
to get you more pay.
Yeah, so it was good. Little like in the moment ribs like that I love, and good for all those guys is a feel good.
His reaction, the long spin there, like he knew he was on live TV. He's like, can't say shit, so he walks out.
Yeah. Then they all went to the back and buried Ric Flair and didn't call him. So, it was a good time for everybody out there. But I just want Spears to succeed. So if this is the way, then so be it. I thought Tully was great with the dive and then the fucking dance around, prance around, little two-step. Good stuff. How about there.
Tully's slingshot suplex? Come on.
Yeah, fucking great. All that was good. The catch. There was just some things that were mistimed where the ref had to Iggy because Tully's coming in and out of the ring because Luchasaurus is getting more heat than he should. So, Marco can't feed. It's like just Tully's a worker. You could see he was confused by too many spots. Where am I supposed to be?
Bro, he ain't used to these four-part high spots.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So it's like, do a sleeper already.
Sell my shit. Sell my shit. Sell my shit.
Yeah, what's up, tough girl?
Hi, baby.
Go
ahead, homie. Put over Tully some more.
I think Jenna needs to get gear just like Tully's for her next debut. I think that's what
she didn't see that match, but I'll show her later.
It's good.
He said you should get gear like Tully Blanchard wore on Dynamite last week. I'll show you the photo later.
It was great.
Is it better than Jake the Snake's tracksuits?
Yes. Yeah. It's good. You'll be ready to bowl a 300 once you get that. I think you're good.
I kind of like Jake the Snake.
You like his tracksuits?
Compared to what Tully wore last night.
Before he outgrew it, I like the Jake tracksuit.
Yeah, me too.
You guys have been talking about the production snafus, and I don't notice those as much as I do the storytelling and directing snafus. But here was one missed opportunity. So, Hamin, you like the line that JJ delivered to Shivani. Shivani was present there to do the next segment with the Big Show. We just saw this win. We saw this new group formed. We saw the return of Spears. What logical question would Tony Schiavone ask those men in passing? Anybody?
I thought you were asking.
Go
It's
ahead.
not rhetorical. Hamin or Matt.
Well, I mean, it would be like, what the hell's going on, or something like that. What are you doing here? What the hell was that, JJ? You're not even employed, or something.
Spears, you've been gone the last 6 months. Would have been a great time to say we're the new force around this motherfucker. Here's our pose.
Miss.
But instead, we forget about it and say, "All right, go! All right, Big Show."
Yeah. Right. They're not thinking about the end. They're just thinking about the glory of it being in there. They're stepping on their own business. That's a huge moment, the Four Horsemen, and we don't cut. We come right into the Big Show right after that, dude. No big setup. Don't go anywhere, fans. When we come back, Paul White makes his debut. None of that. None of that.
I'll have to show you this match later. It was great.
I saw the Big Show, like at the end. That's it. But I thought he was going to be on Dark too, so I was confused why he was on Dynamite, or just the intro to let him know they're going to be there. I don't know.
He had an announcement he teased too.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it was no more big setup, no more Big Show, no more BS. That's how he came out, to no more BS as his logo with the, I guess you might say, I'm not to criticize because it takes a lot of work to do something like this, but the package was a very traditional After Effects pack for his intro as far as the graphics and whatnot. And they had a week. That being said, though, Big Show comes out. He cuts a promo. He talks about how, he's there to, shake things up with AEW, how he's going to commentate with Tony Schiavone, and ends up by announcing that this Sunday on AEW Revolution, he's going to announce a brand new AEW signing, somebody who should have had who's had a Hall of Fame career.
Worthy career.
Hall of Fame worthy career. So my question is did Mark Henry already go into the Hall of Fame?
Yes, he did a big speech in a salmon coat.
Right, exactly. So those are the only two things logically I could think of. Like we were talking about, I was like, well, somebody said Stevie Ray, and I was like, no, he's already in. I was like, Mark Henry's already in. So who else would be out there?
Is it Punk? Are they really going to finally give Punk the money? Because that's the only person I can think right now, free agent wise, that's had a quote unquote Hall of Fame career. Now, if you want to talk about nuts and bolts, you could say Ryback technically should be there in AEW, but I don't know if he's the one who's had a career.
He ain't gonna move nothing. Jenna, any guesses? Who's gonna be the Hall of Fame level talent that gets announced on Sunday?
I can't think. Who hasn't been in?
Hamin, any guesses?
Who has heat that hasn't got in yet?
Me and Hamin.
Well, besides you guys.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Eugene.
Eugene? It's a great guess. I didn't think about this till you guys brought it up, but since you're mentioning Barstool Sports, Pat McAfee was probably the greatest or one of the greatest punters in NFL history.
So there you go.
You didn't say Wrestling Hall of Fame.
That's true. That's that. I was thinking that too, especially. But Cody stooging off that McAfee's trying to get it, but with all those boys from Barstool there this time around, it makes sense. And boy, that'd be a huge fuck you to Triple H, and that's what they need to be doing.
It should be Punk.
So they never signed Pat McAfee?
Oh, yeah.
He was just on NXT like a week ago.
Yeah, and then they took him off TV, and pretty much that was that. And now the Barstool guys who were on NXT 2 weeks ago were on AEW this week. That's enough for crazy heat, but Sil's got a great point there, and maybe it is because in one of the media scrums and the news I read earlier, Cody stooged that off that Pat McAfee's been calling trying to get a job, or so he says. So again, why they stooge off these, surprises, I don't know, but still, you got a good point. Definitely could be.
To follow,
it might drive some more traffic to them if they think something like that's coming. More eyeballs.
I have, and Jenna, this is a quick wrestling lesson because I agree with you on that too. But it's what do you do with the surprise? Because I've tried to do the Paulie. I've done the rip off Paulie, and somebody just shows up and it's like, oh my God, they're here. And the crowd goes buck, but we don't have a crowd. So when we did that with Al Snow being billboard, we had Idol Stevens billboarded, Damian Sandow, and Al Snow was the surprise. The house was only 3/4 full, and Danny ripped us a new asshole for not putting Al on the poster because we could have sold the place out. But then we wouldn't have gotten the big oh my God moment that way. So are we marking out for our own creative, or does billboarding actually need to happen? It's a tough call. You can do it both ways, but
you can spin it both ways because look what they did with Shaq. They billboarded it, they built it for months, and it was I know you guys already talked about the opening segment, but it built up and drove viewership, and they were open, and I thought that it was a great match. So it drove people, I think, some more eyeballs and Shaq fans there. Whether how big of a following or not, I don't know. I think people just wanted to see it, but they billboarded him coming for how long? A couple months.
A few months, yeah.
But that's the exact scenario. You had him with Shaq. Then the oh my God pop is Big Show walking out because it's not going to be. You've already got him there. It's not going to be, we had him, but then we had Big Show, so this many more are coming. I think they miss big moments like there that are huge shots fired in the war, where if nobody in WWE knew that and he just shows up there, that's like, what? As opposed to the graphic coming out going, see what we did, I don't know.
That would have worked and been better.
Right.
With that whole thing, though, I think billboarding is the way to go. Unless you're already over. If they're over as a company and can't do no wrong, fuck yeah, surprise us every time. But if
Ollie did it and they weren't over.
Who?
Heyman and they
were over. They sold out every week in their thing. They just weren't nationally over, and that was part of Paulie's stick, like Moxley. So when AEW was launching, their pay-per-views were hot. The brand was hot. There was all this buzz. So when Moxley came as a surprise, they were already the over alternative. So it blew it over the top. I think had they been introducing Mox now, they might have done it a bit differently. But who knows? I think that's the age-old argument, right?
I'm with that.
I'm obviously not following the WWE side of it intently as I should. But do you feel that, I don't know, they were trying to either ice out McAfee, or maybe he's contacting them to do more work with them, they're not working with them, and then he finally was just like, okay, well, if you're not going to do anything, then I'm going to go call AEW. I mean, is that what I'm getting from this? It's not necessarily personal on him.
You don't give a shit. He's a millionaire from football and Barstool
Flying
Sports.
around in private jets. I don't think he's thinking about that at all.
They can't control him, and that's the main thing. It's not like he's uncontrollable. It's just that when Michael Cole goes, "What are you wearing? You can't let Vince McMahon see you like that," and try and big league him at WrestleMania, and he goes, "Fuck you," and walks out. He's like, "Fine, I'm leaving." Then Cole, oh wait, no, I didn't mean that. Like, and scurries. That's what of being a superstar on the outside is you got power, and when they can't control you over there in that camp, they don't give a fuck. Then Rip Rogers being trained him, that little bit of heat to it that comes up in a conversation, and this and fuck him and da da da. Meanwhile, he's the best promo, gets the best match out of Adam Cole he's ever had, and then they just ice him for no reason whatsoever. Of course he's going to pick up the phone. He's not going to play the game like, oh, if I do this, WWE's going to be mad at me. Fuck, let him be mad. I'll get it on ratings. I don't give a shit. He knows what he's doing, man. Real smart guy.
Yeah.
Sometimes a performer can be so good at something that they overshadow other performers. I think McAfee's promos and heat were so good that it was challenging to a lot of the other performers. And I bet you people were talking mad shit about him backstage. This guy ain't a wrestler, blah, blah, blah. Because he's outshining everybody. And like you guys
he's a cookie cutter. Like that whole program is now a cookie cutter factory. And everyone goes, 30 seconds, 5, clap for him, everybody. And that's why we have performers like Sasha Banks and Bayley who will never get over in a promo because they have had this drummed into them that is the right way to do things. Meanwhile, Eddie Kingston comes out and goes, hey, everybody, fuck off, and steals the show and does some real New York OG.
I stabbed somebody in the face with a pen one time.
I'll stab you, too, if you do an NXT promo in front of me again. That'll shake them up. Or stab somebody and then see how
different. They want something different. They don't want, fans want something unique.
That's why when people say Sasha them are the best, they're third graders in this shit. They can't.
I wholeheartely disagree. Sasha Banks and Bayley are two of the best wrestlers in the world.
Well, you're completely wrong again, as usual.
No.
They're not. Bayley has the worst fucking entertainment segments of all time. Bayley, I don't
watch her segments. I just watch her
Ding Dong Show. What
the promos? Yeah, I'll give that to you.
The Hell in the Cell drop toe hold on a kendo stick and almost breaks her neck. It's Team Idiot all the time for the win because they came through this cookie cutter factory that told them they are over, and they're not. They're not good. They're not at the best level that they think they are. They think they're way up here, bro. They're still on the swing sets, barely getting their feet off the ground. But everybody tells them that they're this, that, or the other. Now they got a whole team full of Cardi B's who can't do shit. And then when Cardi B trains with Rip for 6 weeks and comes in and outshines all of them, then you'll see again.
What about Charlotte?
What is she now? I mean, she's lowest
talent,
best.
She's very good, right?
Not good enough to not have to fuck her face up and all this other stuff, man. Like all this weird shit. Now we're trying to bite into a legacy of somebody who obviously has some type of strange emotional damage from being Flair's daughter and all that shit, dude. Like they went behind this women. Forgive me, Jenna. They went behind this marketing of the women's evolution, which was nothing more than a marketing campaign. They got Ronda Rousey. They pushed Becky Lynch, who is another just cookie cutter factory property, but because she's got to accent her over. You can have Stone Cold lay out and sell for her and take a stunner all you want. When they botch their own finish, when they have the main event, it shows you that it's not there. And then when we go from women's empowerment to 3 acts between Carmella, Sasha, and now EST, who was a legit track star or what have you, but she's got to do the wet ass pussy, spank my ass bit. What are we supposed to do?
What is that bit?
I didn't see that bit.
She's getting on. Well, she went to go in the talking smack afterwards. I'm going to declare Sasha. She got up on the table, squatted down like she's dropping it like it's hot, and fucking while she's doing all this shit, dude, like she's an Atlanta stripper that people are fucking peeling dollars off on. So you tell me what I'm supposed to do. Respect the minority and the woman and the empowerment, or slap that ass, drop it like it's hot, and put your wet ass pussy on my face. Which one is it? Because once you've done both, all credibility's lost on both ends.
I'll tell you what you do. You don't watch Talking Smack, and you just watch Bianca Belair's matches.
Oh, so their character archetype that they're trying to sell to me, I got to now carve out instead of going a certain way.
Maddie, get us on the rails. Hamin is going over the top today.
Let's go back to the Japanese girl.
I don't know if I can handle him.
Let's go back to the fucking mind.
But no, do I wish some of the wrestlers would just focus more on the wrestling instead of dropping it like it's hot? Yes.
No, I would like.
I'm going to build. I know as a female wrestler, I'm proud of. I don't have to get naked for followers, and I'm inspiring young women. We all can't be like Genocide though, and some gotta drop it low. I'll only drop it low for my man. And squats. That's it.
You do great squats.
Thank you.
Very good.
But no, sorry. Back on track, guys.
All right,
I'll go back to work.
All right, we love you
guys.
Thank you for joining us.
Sorry for the
darling.
run-in.
Thank you.
Sorry for the run-in.
Never
Always
apologize.
appreciated.
No, it's fine. But
Always appreciated.
I'm gonna go drop it low.
well, next up we did have.
Hamin's just mad because he can't drop it low.
I
I've
can.
seen him try.
I can get down there now. I've been working on it. Trying to get.
Well, after this, we had the finals of the AEW World Women's Tournament. It was between Nyla Rose and Ryu Mizunumi. I practiced the name a couple times. But this match, half the match was good. I was really into this match. I thought Ryu Mizunumi was entertaining. I know Ben might not like the mime thing. I thought maybe that went on a little bit too long. I thought it was entertaining. That's just how Japanese culture is. I got a little chuckle out of it. Where the match went downhill is when they did the spot that was clearly shown on TV of Nyla rolling into the ring to get into position for Ryu to then jump off the top of the turnbuckle. And the only reason why I'm even bringing this up now because I was sitting with someone who clearly pointed it out and was hot about it. It was like, what the fuck was that? Like, so that was the only thing. And then after that, the rest of the match kind of soured. And I tried to be like, well, maybe there's a little bit of a communication barrier, so I get it. But at the same time, if there is a communication barrier, then that needs to be on the camera person too, to then just show only Ryu climbing the turnbuckle. Don't show Nyla getting into the spot. But again, there's no communication backstage there as well. So there was just a communication breakdown in this match for sure, 100%. Am I reading that right, Silvio?
Yes. Well, I was once in a match where someone was jumping off the top rope and I was out of position. So I took a bump and I'm laying on my back. I realize I'm out of position. So I start kind of shuffling, trying to be incognito to get in position. And we watched that match in tape review with Rip Rogers and he tears me a new fucking ass.
Big time.
Don't ever do that shit again. So that was a lesson I learned in 2007. So you're 100% right on that. The girl just should have waited for Nyla to get in the ring, then go up top. That would have solved all problems.
I beat Tracy Smothers in a dance competition.
Nobody beats Tracy Smothers in a dance.
I did though, and I dropped it like it was hot too.
All right, let me go ahead and hit record on the Roadcaster for these drops. Go ahead, Ben.
This match was excellent.
Talk about the finish. You only billboard half the match.
Well, I mean, to be quite honest, I kind of fell out after that. Ryu did ended up winning with the leg drop on Nyla. There's some false finishes back and forth between the two at their finishers. So I thought maybe the match went on just a little bit too long, maybe about 3 or 4 minutes longer, but than it should have. But they definitely extended the time. I think this match got like 18 minutes, and Ryu did get the victory. So she's going to be advancing on to take on Riho.
Shida.
Oh, I thought it was Shida. I thought it was Ryu.
I got it from here, Maddie. Lay out. So we had
all in the ring because like they did the whole Japanese strong style, you hit me, I'll hit you thing, and Mizunumi was left laying there.
Yep. We had Rio, not Riho, win against Nyla Rose, and then after the finish, Shida comes in a white pantsuit as defending champion to shake her hand. Rio has the trophy that she just won. They shake hands, but then she holds on to Shida and they forearm each other. Then the challenger bumps and just kind of stays there and she holds up the belt. So it's a little bit awkward. The match, I agree with you, Maddie. It took a while for me to get into it. But the second half I thought went very good. I wasn't too big on how much time she took at the beginning with the mime stuff. It was cute, but just too much of something isn't a good thing. But as it progressed, the match went good. And I got to put Nyla over in this. Nyla looked really good in this match, and she's improved dramatically since we started covering the show. So I got to give credit where it's due. My only gripe with this is, again, we have, New Japan Pro Wrestling in AEW. This will be our if this woman beats Shida in the span of a year, that would be the third Japanese woman to hold the championship. Why do we always have to have the women's division being defined by the style of Japanese wrestling? Like, I'm cool with it. Rio was fine. Shida's great. How about let's give a run to Serena? Let's give a run to Britt. Let's give a run to Thunder. Then we'll bring in then we want to get it back to Shida. Cool. Like, I just think it's kind of weird that they're in this cross between AEW and performers from Japan dominating the AEW wrestlers. So it almost says the wrestlers in AEW are nothing compared to the women in Japan, if that makes sense.
I think it's clear, isn't it? Right? I mean, Kenny Omega is the one that runs the AEW women's division, and his goal, as far as when he even said it when he started AEW, was to bring Joshi wrestling over and make it a part of American culture. So, I mean, that's what seems
cool. Now let's mix some Americans in there too, so they can get their homegrown talent over instead of getting beaten by outsiders all of the time. I mean,
oh, she's good.
Ben's taking a sabbatical here, I guess, on this, Silvio. You've positived him out so much he doesn't want to be too angry on this. So we'll go ahead and we'll move on. I mean, I'm sure if Ben got hot about it, he talked about it in the Friday locker room. I mean,
what do you think about the character Reginald?
Oh, Reginald is that the Somalian sommelier?
Mm-hmm.
He overacts. He's right out of Cirque du Soleil. He's got unbelievable athleticism, but the scene stealing bad promos and now welcome to Cirque du Soleil. Everything feels like that. Sure, he can do all the flips, but then he gets pie-faced by women and it's super not real. And then even at Elimination Chamber, him running down with the champagne bottle, they had a decent match going, and that whole stupid waka shit fucked it all. So he's doing everything he can to bring energy to performance to try and keep Carmella from having to do anything, but she's completely FR. Dive through the ropes, scorpion smash her fake face into the ground. And I'm fine. I meant to do that. And I'm beautiful too. Well, Graves has got to put it over. Everybody's having a good time and just doing some of the best and most memorable work that's going to last for generations to come.
Can you imagine us sitting in a booking meeting together? We got this new guy with some diverse talents, and we're like, all right, man, well, here's a list. What do we call the guy? I got it. Reginald.
That sounds great. Get a shirt made. I want a Reginald. Fucking hey, bro. They're just such they don't even know what they're doing, and to play the game to like, oh, and then MVP will politic and Carlito might be able to come back for 2 performances. Let's just what the fuck, man.
To be fair, I do like Reginald. I just don't like the name or the character.
It's just
Reginald the man is over with me.
Why does he even have a spot?
Because he was one of those people that had a career outside that was athletic, so they did the WWE thing and said, let's take a gamble and see if he could get good at wrestling. But we didn't let him wrestle. We made him Reginald. Who knows? Maybe he could have been good one day. Maybe he could have been a Bianca Belair, another athlete that got the business and can actually wrestle. We don't know. We'll see.
Well, following that matchup,
he's good. He's good.
So following that, the match, we went backstage. We see Miro saying that this Sunday for Charles, it will be his end. All the people that have been waiting for the plane around from Miro to end are going to see exactly that. So just a quick little note there. Do you have any comments, Silvio, before we move to the next tag match?
I like Miro.
It was great. I liked it. I thought, Lana did a good job this week as well, putting over Bobby Lashley, as far as from a character standpoint. At least that was a nice little callback. I like that. So.
Congrats to him, too. Yeah. Well, long deserved.
Just one day late.
Yeah, just one day late, right?
Motherfuckers.
I mean, that was my thing too. Like, I wasn't upset that Bobby Lashley won. It was just like it sounds like they're doing a lot of hot potato booking with that title right now. And I just watched the Royal Rumble, and then the Elimination Chamber happens, and McIntyre wins, but then Miz Cash is in, but then the next day Bobby Lashley wins.
Should have been the next night after the fuck over after Elimination Chamber to put him over in Black History Month. Instead, they pushed it a week just as a fuck you rib to have him win it the day after Black History Month. So that's what's going on.
Following that, we did, I think I got this correctly now, Silvio. -1 does appear in this entrance as he comes out with his Dark Order clique, his posse, that being John Silver, and he's accompanied by Hangman Page. Now, for those maybe a little confused, if you didn't follow Twitter,
you're off a little bit. He did come out,
okay,
half naked, but this match would have been the 10 versus whoever.
Right. Well, I was going to point that out though. Tony Khan announced it. It didn't happen. It wasn't a 10-man match.
No, 10. The wrestler called 10 versus.
Right. Oh, I hadn't got there. I'm sorry. I was just saying he came out with his clique, and then I was going to say the names. I'm sorry. So it was 10 Hangman Page and John Silver taking on.
This one was a singles. It was 10 versus Caster.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Caster.
I'm confused with all the
from the Acclaimed.
Okay, I didn't.
All good. That's why we're here, brother.
The Revolution Face of Ladder match. So Max Caster he came out and he cut another promo, did a rap, and then he went one-on-one with 10. I mean, I'm not gonna be. I didn't watch this match. I knew it was Max Caster. Like they just knew coming into this match. They've done nothing to build up 10. Sorry, the guy in the mask just has a number on his chest. They haven't made him any viable as a character in any way. Lost every match, and he does cocaine on BTE. So I had no thought that he was going to win this match.
I watched it, and I have a short review. It reads, get -1 a vest. Jack Evans caused the finish, and Matt Hardy gave him an envelope with $2,000 written on it, LOL. They worked hard, just not sure if it was placed in the optimal position on the card. They had a fine match. Problem is, they put it after all of the good stuff already. You know, we had the Shaq, we had the Tully, all this great stuff. Then we throw these two guys that have not been established yet in a cold match and expect people to care about it. They did fine. They're both a couple years in, but that was the result. It was comical, though, when Matt hands Jack Evans hit, what's his name, 10 with a chair or something to cause the finish. And Hardy pays him off because he's taken out all the Dark Order members. But it was literally like a cartoon on the envelope in big letters, $2,000 written on it, and he hands it to Jack Evans.
All right. Well, let's go to the big segment then. Before we go to the main event, I don't want to skip over that too. You just remind me of the Sting. He's headed out to the ring with Tony Schiavone to talk about his upcoming pay-per-view match. They also did like a little promo package. I'll put that over the buy-in. I guess it's going to be featuring Thunder Rosa and Rio taking on Britt Baker and Reba. So they did advertise that.
And of course it's on the buy-in, not the pay-per-view. Why put one of the best wrestlers and the best character in the women division on pay-per-view? Why would we do that?
I sent them something, both. I'll tell you about it off air.
So Sting headed to the ring, and he was with Tony Schiavone to talk about his upcoming pay-per-view match. Tony says that he knows Sting is prepared for the street fight on the Sunday. Sting says he thought he was ready until 2 weeks ago. He realized he wasn't. Now he's shaking off the ring rust, and he's ready. Ricky Starks walks out. Says Sting needs to pump his brakes, but then he kind of puts him over. You know, he says he saw the fire that was coming from Sting, something he hasn't seen in a while, and that Sting still has it. He says he's no icon, though, and he slaps him. Sting then lands a big clothesline on Starks, and nails a stinger splash in the corner, applies a scorpion deathlock before Hobbs and Taz's son Hook come out to enter the ring to help out. Sting fights them off. Brian Cage comes in from behind, swings away on Sting. I tried to get another power bomb, but outran Darby Allin this time, who locked in a choke on Cage. And then Brian tried to fight him off in the corner, but takes a stinger splash to the back. And we saw a shotgun dropkick by Allin off the top rope, and then Team Taz bailed up the stage. Now, someone pointed out to me they thought this was a little bit wonky. They're like, wouldn't you have wanted to do the Sting power bomb today or last night as the build into the pay-per-view versus doing it last week and Sting and his team going over strong into the pay-per-view? I mean, is that a viable question?
Yeah.
Traditional booking says if Sting is going to win, then yes, leave him laying, then he wins at the pay-per-view. Traditional booking, if Sting were to lay out the heels, then the heels would win at the pay-per-view.
Right. No, I got it. I mean, I just meant from
In the order, I don't think it was that wrong. Like they could have power bombed him last week. They almost get him this week, and the cavalry comes in to save. So it's like, you motherfuckers, and like, yeah, we'll see on Sunday, bitch. I'm gonna get your ass. You know what I mean? So they got him once, the threat of them going up again, and then you kind of go 50-50 there into it because we've already touched. So going into the pay-per-view, I don't think that is the wrong thing. Now, could they have laid him out again? Yeah, but then their Sting doesn't look like shit. You know what I mean? At that point,
what's the shock factor going into the pay-per-view? Holy crap, Sting got power bombed. What's going to happen? Is he going to be available for the pay-per-view? We'll see.
That's the other story. You got to tell it that way. But the way they didn't do it, this wasn't the worst choice. We have many choices, and this wasn't where I'm yelling wrong for whatever reason. I thought Ricky Stark's promo was really good.
Yeah, I thought it was good, and I clipped out something great that you said on Monday. Team Titties and Biceps. So that's now going to be.
You know who that is or no?
Team Titties and Biceps?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Someone just sent me the clip. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke.
Oh, okay. And then, yeah, Cat Girl. Okay, I got that was part of the clip too. Now,
Cat Girl's, what's her name? Natty.
Check out the Monday Locker Room. I still haven't listened to it because I've been busy. Check out the Monday Locker Room. Ben Amin, Rick, and Ted the Man. Please check out Rick and Ben on the Impact Attack. Check out the Wednesday Locker Room with Dello, Billy Ray Valentine, who stopped into the chat earlier today.
Awesome.
Steve King, I saw him. We were texting back and forth. So, Silvio.
For this thing, I've had enough. With the exception of Hook, who I have not seen enough of to base an opinion. I like everyone involved in this thing. I think they're all good. We have seen a version of the same scene for 7 or 8 weeks in a row. The same scene with the slight switch. This week, Darby comes out. Next week, he doesn't. This week, nobody comes in the ring. This week, there's a bat. Next week, he does. Same setup, same interruption, done in the same fashion. I'm ready for the angle to be over. I like all of the people involved, and I'm happy to see Sting. Glad he's okay after the powerbomb. And I bet you the street fight will be good. But I've had enough. You can't present me the same dinner over and over for 8 nights. I'm going to want something different. That's what this is.
Wow, man, I'm not changing. Did you see that thing Pop dropped in the NFO thread? All those pictures of all the people that have died after taking the vaccine, the news report?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving back into AEW here. So you're not happy with this, Silvio. So I'm sorry. Hopefully it's going to be wrapped up shortly. Hopefully this is it.
Are you happy with it? Do you like the last 8 weeks of segments that they've done?
I mean, I think they've been
The
hitting.
exception of the warehouse one.
After you drag we're rotten. But after you drag someone behind a fucking car in a body bag and then kidnap somebody else's son, beat the shit out of them, bro, it's time to fucking go down and throw down. Not let's get in the ring, let's rappel, let's fucking zip line. Like, this is Tony Khan being a mark for WCW and having no idea how to fucking further a storyline and doing the same over and over again. It's the same as WWE, the Dirty Dogs versus fucking Street Profits, week 6, New Day versus The Bar, week 19. Like, it's the same move it forward because I don't know what I'm doing.
What's weird is he's told some great stories. The Omega Hangman one that I always talk about, Cody and MJF, such a great story. Jericho and Cody.
Is that a great story for Hangman? Is Hangman elevated where he should be right now?
What happened after is a different story.
Oh, you tell
they could have saved it.
Somebody so that you can get him to the next level, and he is definitely not. So I put that over as a fail, in my opinion.
I think that's up for debate, but I don't understand the build with this program.
So after that, you were right. We had that 10 versus Max Caster match, which we just went over, and then we had the Hangman Page and John Silver versus Matt Hardy and Mark Quinn, and surprisingly, Hangman Page and John Silver went over this match. I did not expect them to get the victory here. Post-match.
How about is this just old man shit or slight white privilege racism when he calls Quinn, his partner's name, like just getting the black eye mixed up because it happened 2 weeks ago, I think, on 3 weeks ago with Big E and Apollo on the Raw announce desk too, with the white guys just getting the black guys mixed up from who they were, bro.
I didn't notice that actually.
No,
I've got to think it's unintentional.
I know, but it's happened too frequently, and dude, if you got 3 teams of young, awesome athlete black guys, you're gonna get them possibly mixed up to some degree. But as an announcer, you got to be on your game, bro, because if you slip that much, that'll be on Botchamania next week. I guarantee it will be.
Well, yeah, we had the main event there. Sylvia, what did you think of the main event before we get to the post-match stuff?
I thought it was ill-placed. They did fine. They did perfectly acceptable. My main thoughts are Matt Hardy is still a very good wrestler. I love Hangman Page. Silver's coming into his own. He entertains me. He needs more steam put behind him and more story before we can throw him in main events, as a caveat. And Mark Quinn is a good athlete. Same with him. He needs more before we can buy him as a main eventer. My biggest takeaway from this match is we had all this stuff. We had that great Shaq match that Hamin hated. We had the really cool FTR Tully thing with the reveal.
I didn't hate it. I'm just not going to call it great. It's not fucking great.
Well, let me go on. Then we had the reveal of Shawn Spears. Then we had the stakes of the women's tournament. This is the finals, so that's a big deal. All these 3 huge things. Then we went to 10 versus Max Caster that nobody cared about. No fault to those guys. And then we had Matt Hardy and Page's angle close the show, which on the hierarchy of things wasn't one of the top 3 angles. So they did fine. They had a perfectly fine match, and they're damn good. I respect Matt and Hangman to the moon. But it just wasn't the right placement. That should not have been the main event. Caster should not have been before that. It should have been Tully's match with the Spears reveal at the end, or Cody and Shaq.
Should have been Cody and Shaq at the end. The whole show should have had NBA guys giving their predictions. The whole thing tie in. It's miss with this kid, bro. Booker of the Year, all you want from some bullshit Meltzer award. You know what award's worth more? That. Not some online bullshit, bro, that has people gassed up where we can't even know how to get max value out of our show. Will they be over 1 million? Yes, they will when NXT leaves. But that's only going to tell them that they did something right when they're doing a lot more wrong and missing the ball. They're only batting about a 180 when they should be batting 400 at least. And I don't know why no one's stepping up to correct it or correct these problems, man, when you've got billboard level talent to draw eyes of the product, and then you're not getting max value out of it. As a businessman, I just don't understand it.
What do you think, Matt, of the main event?
I felt it was kind of a little bit of a letdown after having some of those bigger matches, or at least they were built up too. Like, I mean, the Tully Blanchard stuff was advertised for weeks. The Shaq,
can we call him Bully Blanchard from now on?
Bully Blanchard was, that was built up. We had the tag match with Shaq and Cody. That was built up. Even so much so, like, whether you like the segment or not, I think the Sting thing could have probably been a better way to go off the air too. But the revolution, it ended with the battle royale, so it ends up with them like attacking with Matt Hardy and
who's the most important person in the main event
of this show or of the pay-per-view
of this show.
It should have been Mox and Kenny Omega, but they didn't even highlight that.
They did one little tiny thing.
Yeah.
So that should have been something else. And then underneath that, the real blood and guts storyline, Matt, you're right, is Darby Allin. Not that. So by putting those guys in the main event, that's telling your audience that our other storylines are lesser on the card than what they're doing after they had builds. You got to have one of those builds in your main. And they had their mid-card, undercard storyline in their main.
What I thought they were going to do, I won't spoil what Matt's about to say. I knew they were going to do a double segment. After the Hardy finish, I knew they were going to do other business. What I was expecting was Moxley and Omega to do some kind of business in whatever they were going to do, and then them say, all right, goddamn, you got to tune in on Saturday to see where this goes. But instead we got...
Well, instead, what we did get is after the match concluded, we got Silver hugs Paige. Hardy smacks Silver and Paige with a microphone. Hardy yells at Paige and tells him that he's not going to make it to the big match on Sunday. Hardy goes for Silver, but Dark Order runs out and stomps out Hardy. More participants from the tag team Casino Battle Royal run out. Huge ball breaks out, and that's how we kind of close out the show, which was weird because how it ended, then it kind of quickly segued into their 1 hour preview show. So like I put my head down for a second and then like 15 minutes up, they were doing packages and I was like, wait, is Dynamite over? Like it was a very weird way for them to end the show and then relay and then go into talking about Revolution. I get it what their thought process was, keep them on the hooks. I'm not hating on it. It was just a weird segment for them to go off with. And I mean, to your credit, I think that we could have had something bigger. I mean, you just brought up the Mox and Omega thing. I totally forgot about it. They're having an exploding barbed wire death match. How is nothing exploding or lighting the fuse to end Dynamite going off at the end of this episode to hype up the main event or something? You know, you don't have to throw anybody into it, but maybe Mox has built something and then he throws like an object into it and it explodes and says that's what's going to happen to Kenny, or I don't know, something weird, something hyped up that match.
By the way, we did miss one thing on this review. There was a very good video package featuring Onita where they told the history of the exploding death match and hyped it up. That was the only thing we saw of Mox and Omega.
Yeah, it was a little thing. And we pointed it out too, even further, how tacky it looked when Kenny Omega was just like
the hammer.
Yeah, the hammer thing. It looked way too tacky.
You're telling me he's not a real steel worker? I'm shocked at that.
No, see, here's the deal. I mean, you wouldn't know this because you're an old school wrestler. Matt, you wouldn't know this because you've never taken a bump. That's how you build exploding barbed wire rings for death matches, guys.
Gotcha. Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, I stand corrected.
Sorry about that. Well,
All right.
He's right. He's right. When he's right, he's right. He's right once again. Can't fucking be called him. He knows what he's talking about.
But that's it, guys. That was another edition of your AEW Dynamite review. So you can come back next week, ladies and gentlemen, for another edition of Light the Fuse. I'm your host on the scene where the air is clean. I'm lighting up that green, your boy, MSG. And every week, I'm also on another podcast called Suck My Balls, South Park Review. This week, we had our buddy Joe Athers. He joined us all the way from
Athers
as we reviewed Pip, the Great Expectations episode. My least favorite episode of South Park. So if you tune in because you like that episode, sorry, you're not going to like our review. But if you tune in, you like Athers, or you're interested in getting more of a crash course on UK, politics and culture and media, I try to ask Joe Athers a lot of questions in relation to that. So check that out. It was a very informative interview on just, maybe how media and how it's seen from his end of the pond. You can, of course, check out the New Force Order podcast, which comes out later today. We got Papa Don, Alex Royo, and Handsome Reaper. And, of course, check out our sponsors, all of our sponsors, the Roadcaster Pro, which you can go to www.road.com/Roadcaster Pro. You can also check out the Roasters.com for Russo Bro coffee, where you can get a bigger bag of coffee or save you some money by using the code 5LB, as well as don't forget to check out Stevie Richards Fitness. It's the resistance fan sensation that's sweeping the nation. StevieRichardsFitness.com. Also, check out all of our Patreons, patreon.com/StevieRayTV. Stevie Ray took a week off this week, but we got some big news coming up next week. It looks like we're going to be back with some more face-to-face debates. So we'll have more information for you in the next couple of days as we're working with Impact Wrestling once more, as well as he's got some more big-time interviews lined up as he took a week off. You can also check out patreon.com/The A Show. They've got the first couple shows up there for free right on their Patreon with Aaron Sandow, or Aaron, I forgot his last name.
Stevens.
Aaron Stevens. And of course, April Hunter. Of course, I remember the chick's name, right? And that's on the A Show. And then, of course, patreon.com/The Beautiful People with Velvet Sky. Oh, my gosh. And Angelina Love. They're beautiful ladies. You can check them out. Patreon.com/The Big Vito brand with Big Ray Hernandez and the Big Vito. Join the mob. Join up the patreon.com/Hami Media Group with the FR Rip Rogers podcast and more to come. We got Amber O'Neal, who's hanging out in Houston lined up. We're talking to. We got superstars. We're doing it here in 2021, right here on Media Group. Well, and that's all for me, guys. I'm out of here. So hope you guys have a good day. I'm out.
Great outro, Maddie. I'm going to close out with the final thought. And I mean, if you have one, I'd love to hear it. This show, other than the placement of the matches, My biggest problem with what happened tonight was every segment ends and then we move past it without addressing it. We had the huge moment of Shaq going through a table. Wasn't mentioned a single time. When we came back from commercial, they didn't say, here's what you missed a minute ago if you tuned away. All these big things happened. And once something happens, the announcers pretty much say, forget about that. Now here's Dark Order or whatever it is. So if they can fine tune that and actually explain what just happened previously and talk about the importance of it, I think this show would have went from a B to an A+. Because the first hour of the show, despite some of the disagreements we've had, was awesome in my opinion. And I thought it was an exciting, entertaining wrestling show. If we would have had 2 hours of that, I'd be dancing a jig. So overall, thumbs up show. I thought they did great, but for those issues I pointed out, I'll give it the grade of a B.
Yeah, man. I don't think that having greenhorns wrestle celebrities is the best business model. Bringing out 70-year-olds to relive the former glory for the 7th time is only going to take you so far. Little kids with no shirts on, not my thing. Probably should stop doing that. Going into business for yourself is a bad comedy act, but then we have to believe you're a badass fighter. Probably not going to work too well for long-term business. Jericho and MJF can fucking beat anybody on the mic, so that's money there in gold. Who knows where Orange Cassidy is? That might have been nice to play that game out a little bit, but hey, it's no BS. It's Silvio, it's MSG, it's Hacker Hamin, and Phil is my father because my biological didn't bother. Twism, it's like the Fuse Infidels.